Hello Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news,
indie games of the week,
and talking about what we've been up to now that Season 1 releases are complete.
Thank you for listening. Let's get started. After this long break. Yeah,
oh
what's
my
up?
Gosh. Seriously, it feels like it's been a long time. I missed you.
I'm glad you recorded that filler episode that we were able to slot in last time.
Filler? That was all killer. What are you talking about?
That killer, it was a slip there. Yes, thank you to Nick F for the tricks and what's it called? Tips and Tricks episode we aired last time. And if you were not able to listen, you're only listening to this episode for whatever reason. There's a lot of tips in the show notes for the last episode, interview number 2, Nick F on Season 1 games. So thank you to Nick F and to Ryan for putting that together. That really saved us because our last episode got trashed.
Totally. So I want to echo what Don said and say big ups to Nick F. Thank you for coming on. I think it was pretty apparent he and I have been having a lot of fun sort of trying to best one another in these games. And it was fun to talk moderate to higher level strategy on these games, because I feel like one of the strengths we have as a threesome here is that we all have very different tastes in these games, but at the same time it's hard to talk about like, hey, I want to get in deep on this score chaser, because that's not really a Don or Nick jam. So that was really fun to have Nick on the show. So Nick F, thank you so much. Nikki B, it's good to have you back. Did you have anything to say about the tips and techniques show?
I found it very informative, and the I mentioned in the Discord, but using Mirror as a way to help boost scores is just a phenomenal trick, which I don't know why it never occurred to me, but
did you try it after that?
I haven't yet, but
downloaded, haven't played.
I will. Exactly. You got it.
Is Mirror playing it on your desktop?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like mirror mode, like you played left-handed, like it flipped the screen upside down. I did not put that together.
Yeah,
I didn't realize so many games had that option when you guys were talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what most of the streamers are doing when they're showing live feeds of their Playdate, because it's not like you have to shine a perfect light on it or something. It just feeds it into the computer. Yeah,
that's a good point. Okay.
Yes.
Extra pro tip, explaining what Mirror is. Cool.
Next episode, Mirror.
Yeah.
But on the topic of Nick F, I also wanted to send some shout outs to Nick F for getting first place in a couple of tournaments at Gen Con. So shortly after we recorded last episode, Nick F hiked off to Gen Con, and you guys fill 30 seconds for me here, because he told me which games they were, and I want to make sure I get them right. So go.
Well, I know he was preaching the gospel of the Helloplaydatepodcast while he was there, just really spreading the word. But thanks to Nick F for all that. And
why is it called Gen Con? That's the most generic name for a convention I've ever heard.
It's generic convention. That's exactly it.
Is that really what it stands for?
No.
Is it tongue in cheek? Oh, it sounds like Gen Pop, like in prison.
That information must be online somewhere. Nick F will be yelling into his earbuds at this point.
I'm certain. Yeah.
Okay. While you're looking for that, I have news. Nick, calm down. I'm sorry we don't know what Gen Con means, but we are very proud of you for taking first place in Star Realms and Seven Wonders Duel. I don't know what any of that is, but I know that Gen Con is a massive show, so I can only imagine there was some stiff competition. So very cool. Nick is owning not only in the Hello Playdate Podcast Discord channel, but around the world. Great job, Nick F. Don, any news for us?
It stands for Geneva Convention, but
it's the Lake Geneva War Games Convention.
Yeah. I thought for sure that couldn't be what it is, so I kept scrolling down the page. But no, Nick's right. It's Lake Geneva.
That's really it, huh?
That's really it. Okay,
Wow.
So founded in 1967.
I thought you were just dad joking us. Huh.
I thought I had misgoogled or something, but no, that's what it is. Wow. So it is a very poorly named convention. I stand by that.
And say goodbye to our Gen Con sponsorship of this podcast.
Oh, well, darn. Never been one for chasing money.
That's why we do podcasts.
Exactly. Speaking of podcasts, this next news note has nothing to do with them, but the Playdate OS 1.12.3 is out. It brings improved battery performance and energy percentage accuracy, which I've only noticed a couple times where sometimes it'll say like you go from 98% down to like 30% and then back up to like 97%. I've only seen that a couple times. And also improved button debouncing, fewer unwanted double presses, which I have never noticed, but I know other users have, other popular I was going to say other popular streamers, but we're not popular streamers. But popular streamers have had that issue, so that's a good thing. So yeah, always a nice thing to get a little an OS update. So very nice.
Yeah. Thanks, Panic.
Thank you, Panic. Life's Too Short, a game that we raved about on our indie pick of the week several episodes ago, like a very early episode. Hit 500 downloads, which that seems to be like is that like the gold album standard for Playdate?
So far,
until another couple groups get their Playdates, probably.
I guess so. 500 is pretty good. There's only a few games that I know of that have hit 500. So congratulations to Ollie Co. and to Life's Too Short. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can become number 501 on the download list. And we will talk about one of his other games here in a little bit.
Yeah, and speaking of downloading games, there appears to be a new Playdate Store Twitter account. I ran across it the other day. It doesn't have many followers, and it's not following many, so I'm not positive if it's an official Playdate Store Twitter. But anyway, you can go to twitter.com/Playdate Store, and they're talking about some new additions to the store. So that's handy to have in your feed as well.
It's an alternative to Itch. I purchased Cranner. Well, the Cranner demo I got from here a couple months ago, a month or two ago. But I think it's run by PossiblyAxolotl and a couple other people.
Oh, it's not Panic?
It's not Panic, no.
Huh. Oh, that's interesting.
But it's a place to host your games, though.
So this is not the Playdate store that Panic has been talking about developing.
No, that's the catalog, I think they call it. Panic calls it the catalog.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Huh. Okay. Well, chalk up another one for confusing marketing, just like us, the PlaydatePodcast.com.
Right. This is Playdate.store, and we'll have a link in the show notes. But yeah, it's worth a follow. They don't seem to put up a whole lot of stuff. It's been about a month since the previous newest release. But hopefully, Steam builds there, and yeah.
Okay.
It's okay to have another storefront. I know Nick hates new storefronts, new launchers.
As long as they don't fire off a terminate and stay resident program on the Playdate, I'm fine with them. So
fair enough.
Yeah. This looks like some development tools are hosted on here. So developers might find this of particular interest. Graphics, sound, font related tools, all that kind of stuff. So might want to give that a close look if you're developing a game for the Playdate.
Cool. Speaking of developing games for the Playdate, I wanted to talk about Reach the Ocean. This is a game that was developed by Zanya Lasagna, and Tiny Yellow Machine interviewed her on a show last week about her game that was not yet released at that time. However, yesterday, August 15th, 2022, she released it on itch. And there was a bit of a rocky start. I was excited to download this game. She had a great lead up to it, like, hey, this is coming. Hey, it's in a couple days. Hey, it's in a few hours. And then it released. And I went over and bought it. Nick, I think you did too. And I think the same exact thing happened to both of us. I bought it, and then it gave me some sort of an error message. So I tried to buy it a second time. Same thing happened. I got charged twice for it. I don't mind. It wasn't a hefty fee, but I never got the download. And so, to make a long story short, the launch day, August 15th, it was sort of plagued by itch download issues, but I'm happy to say that by today, August 16th, a day later, those download issues have been fixed. And I'm also happy to say that it's a fun game. And before I talk about the game at all, I thought I would shut my yapper so that Nicky B can say anything he wants to add to this story.
Yeah, so this was their first commercial game, from my understanding, and therefore their first game that they placed on itch, I believe. So, there's going to be different issues when integrating with different card providers or storefronts or whatever the case may be. So, that's unfortunate that happened, but it's it's not the end of the world, hopefully, and hopefully everybody was able to hop in today and get the game. But I also found it extremely fun, so I'm looking forward to talking some tips and tricks with you all about this.
Cool. Yeah, I
Can
go
I
for
ask,
it, Don.
how do you guys pay for stuff on itch? Do you use PayPal? Do you use a card? Or
I used PayPal.
okay,
I think that's what I do.
I
So
do too. I didn't know if it was like Swipe was in the way.
Card payments or Stripe, I believe, with
Stripe.
itch.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if there's a bug between that and itch or something, but anyway, whatever it is, Reach the Ocean is up. It's got a great page, and I also downloaded it. I'm terrible at it, but fun concept.
Yeah, so I just felt so bad for Zanya when it released yesterday. Like, you're building this up, and I've been in her shoes before, where you have this product, you're developing a launch, you're getting people excited, and here it is. Oh wait, something's gone wrong. So anyway, I was in conversation with her the day of its release, and trying to help where I could, but seems to have been fixed now, and I'm very happy for that. Do you guys want to talk about the game itself a little bit, or should we save it for like
because I'm
indie game of the week at another episode, or how are you guys feeling?
I think we've got time.
Yeah, either or, but I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah,
cool.
Let's go for it. We all played it.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, you want to give us the high level overview of what we're looking at here?
All right. You are a sea turtle, and you're trying to get back to the ocean. You're trying to reach the ocean. And in order to do that, you have to avoid crabs, which are trying to pinch you. And you can talk to seagulls, get starfish energy, which I don't quite understand, but starfish restore your hit points. And then you're collecting seashells. So as you go screen to screen, you're just collecting these different seashells, but it's very tricky because there are different crabs and then flying seagulls which try to attack you. You can talk to seagulls which are landed. I believe they're seagulls.
I think they're fellow turtles.
Are they?
I think so.
The seagulls that fly by?
The seagulls are flying by in a horizontal fashion, but there are stationary turtles that you can talk to every once in a while, like once a level or so. That's something I wanted to touch on, actually, but I'm going to let you finish this. I'm going to let you finish, Nick, but...
Okay. All right. So this was made in pulp, I take it.
Yep.
It feels, it's got that pulp feel, but the cool thing about it is the personalized graphics, and this is my kind of score chaser, Ryan. I know you're always saying that I don't like score chasers, but that's not true. I like certain score chasers.
This one, excellent. Tell me why.
Well, I've written score chasers as well, and the score chasers that I like have some kind of pattern. So this is like a Pac-Man style score chaser in that the enemies move in specific patterns, but also the layout of the seashells is static for each screen. So you're able to memorize paths, and because the behavior of the enemies is constant, you can trick them in different ways. So by the time you make it to screen 2, you really have to start utilizing that skill. And screen 3, you better be pretty proficient at it, or you're gonna die. So it's great, and I played it for almost an hour straight today.
Yeah, same.
And I just really couldn't put it down. I kept saying, okay, this is my last run. And then I did just one more just to see if I could get further. And I hit 50 today, and I was like, okay, that's probably the best that I'll be able to do. And then that compulsion took over, Ryan. I just kept going. So eventually I got up to 136, but I feel like I've barely scratched the surface.
Okay, so you got to 136 shells. How many levels have you completed?
It's a good question. And then how do you define completion? Because you can actually move from screen to screen without completing them.
That's what I mean by completing, by moving to the next one.
Moving to the next one. Okay. Well, I was mentioning to Xenia Lasagna before the recording that I just took off in one run. I just wanted to see how far I could get, and I got to screen 5 or 6 before I died. On that 136, I don't remember offhand. That is one of the things which I mentioned to her in the Discord earlier today. But if there was a way that the results could remain on the screen for a little bit,
yes, it's hard to take that braggy picture. It kind of disappears quickly after that.
Disappears very quickly. But yeah.
So I do have some info for you on levels. There are 9 levels total, and I started like you did, trying to get shells, and I did not get as high as you. I think I got maybe 60 or 70, so now I've got something to chase. But I pretty quickly shifted my interest from shell collection to level completion. So I started beelining through the levels and not memorizing where the shells were, but memorizing where I needed to move in order to progress to the next level. And I managed to complete it. There are 9 levels, and Zanya confirmed this to me, but she also told me a little secret that there is an extra level that is hidden somewhere. I have not found that level yet, but I have completed the 9 levels of the game. But I'm really interested in going back and slowing it down a little bit to, try to pick up as many shells as I can. But another thing that happened, I showed this to my son, who's 9, and he barely saw it, but he saw Reach the Ocean, and that it was a turtle. Actually, I don't even think he saw the title, Reach the Ocean. He saw it was a turtle making its way somewhere. And he's like, oh, I know what to do on that. I'm like, okay, interesting. You've seen it for 2 seconds. Tell me all about it.
Yeah.
And he knew exactly what was going on. He's like, well, you're trying to reach the ocean. I'm like, you're right. And he's like, and those seagulls and those crabs, they're trying to get you, right? I'm like, yes, that's right. Like, so I think that Zanya probably has some real accurate sea life information that she's working with to create this game, because my son is a big fan of the wild kratts and knew exactly what was going on with these animals. So nice work, Zanya.
Yeah, definitely nice work. It's really, really fun. And for your first game, just a high bar to try to clear with your next one, right?
Yeah, I was watching that interview with her on Tiny Yellow Machine, and Dawn, I saw you pop in there a time or two, so maybe you can comment on this too. But she said that she learned programming so that she could create a Playdate game. Like, she took a programming class and had made one game before this. It looked like sort of a Gradius or something, like a ship game, moving from left to right across the screen. But that was like her project. And the reason she took this programming class was to make a Playdate game. And, the host told her how cool that was. And I would echo the same thing. I thought that was really neat that the Playdate inspired her to learn this stuff. And here it is realized. So congratulations, Zanya. I'm so sorry you had to suffer through that bumpy first day, but I hope it was all worth it, because I think that game is pretty darn killer. Lots to love there. Lots of great level design.
Yeah.
There's not just blocks tossed on a screen. Like, there's definite concerted thought put into strategic areas that you can move, and making each level very different from one another. Yeah. Nice work.
And it's got basically a manual here on the itch page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
Yes. Thank you, Don.
Now I know to high five the starfish when I'm low on health.
Yeah.
The bottom GIF shows a little note showing how to do that. Nick, by the way.
It's very important.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So make sure you rate this game so it can get bump up in the rankings there.
Yeah, and we'll toss a link to this in the show notes for today's episode, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and our final. Oh my, what is happening? Our final news and notes section is RocketBytes level design contest. So there is a feature on a new game, which may be coming up here in a second, that allows you to design your own levels, sort of like Mario Maker or something. But it's really interesting. They've got the crank involved in how to select things for making the level. Very cool. Anyway, I believe it is in conjunction with Tiny Yellow Machine, where they are going to take different levels made by players, and I think they're even going to add the winningest level to the game itself. But anyway, I'm being a little cryptic about the game, not talking much about it because it'll come up here in a minute. But for the boopity boop boop news and notes, just wanted to let everybody know you've got like 2-ish more days to create your RocketBytes level designs and send them on over. We'll include a link to that in the notes as well.
Have you guys created any?
Nick, have you
Come
created
on.
any?
I have not.
I have started. I have done some awful levels.
How involved is it? Because I have an idea for a level, but I haven't tried yet.
Ooh, it's not very involved. It's pretty darn intuitive. I did not understand immediately how to save it, and so I lost my first very bad level.
Oh.
But then I discovered how to save, which is just in the circular button settings menu. There's an option to save in there. I kept looking around the on-screen user interface and couldn't find it. And, you know, I am a man of very small mind, so it confused me. But I found it eventually. And I don't know if I'll make a level good enough to submit or not, but I do have some bad levels made. We'll see how it goes. How about you, Don? You made anything?
No. I have an idea, but I haven't tried messing with it. I'm not very creative. And it looks like we have 2 days left.
Realize that idea, Don. You can totally do it in a day. You could do it in an afternoon or less.
An afternoon? I was thinking, like, can I do it in 20 minutes is what I was.
Oh, gosh. Come on, Don.
I mean, we're talking to Don here, Ryan.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Obviously. Yes, you can do that in 10 minutes, Don.
I'm used to, like, DS stuff. Can I draw it?
I mean, sort of.
On the screen, and it'll be done?
It won't work, but yeah.
You just have to erase it afterwards.
Right.
And what is PossiblyAxolotl's user pick? Do you guys know what that is? One time it made sense in my head what it's a picture of, but I've never been able to figure it out since.
Where did you see the pic?
Well, it sounds like we might have to hop on Tiny Yellow Machine this week and ask that in the chat.
Oh, that's good.
So August 18th. Okay. August 18th is the RocketBytes show, and PossiblyAxolotl is going to be on there. So there's your plug. All right. So that does it for the news and notes, which brings us to the indie games of the week. Who would like to go first? Okay, it's actually me. I'm going to talk about RocketBytes since we were just talking about it anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, so I think we mentioned this is made by PossiblyAxolotl. It's a relatively new game. I think it was just released a week or two ago. And so it's called a reverse platformer. Basically, you're sort of blasting off with a ship and you're trying to make your way through various maze type elements without touching any of the maze walls or things that may interfere with your path of spaceship. And if you do, kaboom, you go right back to the beginning. And it can be occasionally frustrating because if you touch something right off the bat, kaboom, you're right back in the same place. And to have that happen multiple times over until you learn the physics of this game is can be occasionally trying. I think it's a pretty darn fun game, but it is a little tricky getting a handle on how that gravity control works. There was a little chatter on the itch page about the ability to control gravity, and basically it amounts to you have to get into the back end of the JSON files and make some programming changes, which I am not comfortable doing. When I first read it, I thought there was some sort of setting in the game that you could change like as a user, but I clarified that with PossiblyAxolotl today, and he said no, basically you're getting into the files and changing a little bit of programming, and even a little bit of programming is too much programming for me. So I'm not going to do that. I guess I'll just have to live with the existing heavy gravity force that exists in the game now.
If you need me to make a change for you, I'm happy to do that.
We'll see how much I want to inconvenience you. I know you have many things going on. So anyway, you're a little rocket and you're trying to make your way through a maze toward a larger rocket, and then you blast off and complete that level. There are many levels. I can't remember if there's 10, 12, something, and with more to come promised. 15, thank you. With more to come. So I've only made it through 5, 6, 7, 6, probably 6-ish levels so far.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, does that difficulty level ramp up fast. Have you guys played this game?
I haven't even had a chance to download this one.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've failed you.
Not even on the backlog yet.
Yeah, my catchphrase doesn't even work.
Oh.
Don?
Yeah, I've played a bit. I'm a few levels in. It's similar to a lot of games, but feels good. Like it feels like a modern take on a bit like Pixel Junk Shooter, which is an updated version of what other games like this? Was it Moonlander?
It sounds like Bit Trip Runner to me.
No. It's not like Bit Trip Runner at all.
Well, doesn't it return you back to the start if you
yes.
run into an obstacle?
Yeah. I guess it has a roguelike aspect like that. I guess you can. Well, you die, you restart, but the actual gameplay feels more like it's Moonlander, right? Where you
Jupiter
land,
Lander.
You land on the little pad mixed with like, is it Kuru in the spinning stick thing?
What are you guys talking about?
Nick knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's like a spinning stick. Ryan, you would love this game on Game Boy Advance.
You're not talking about
Kuru-in.
Huh.
It's like a spinning stick that you move through a maze of obstacles. This plays very similar to that, except you're not spinning. Yeah, you're a more round object in RocketBytes.
Aha,
you're a very long straight object in Kuru.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it feels like a mixture of those two games, and those are great games. I mean, Pixel Junk Shooter is an excellent PS3 game. Anyway, yeah, it's really good. It feels like it could almost be a season game, but I need to play a little further. These kind of games are really tricky and hard, and I usually play Playdate late at night, and I need to be a little more alert to play this kind of thing.
Big time.
But I love how responsive the crank is, and the crank is like super good analog control for this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is this a Nick style crank game?
Yeah, I think you'd.
All right,
dude. You grew up with this type of thing. I think you'd appreciate this.
Awesome.
It's so hard. I know that Nick enjoys punishing games occasionally, but then there's things like he doesn't wrap his head around like Whitewater Wipeout, and that's not that's not a jab to Nick. But I wonder if this game has that kind of difficult to master mechanic.
This feels more Nick gamey than that does. This has a little Star Sled in it, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like that.
I was just going to say maybe a skosh of hypermeteor, a little bit dash of anger thrown in for good measure.
Well, one thing I love is you don't have to land the rocket. You just got to like hit the rocket window. Like you get sucked into the base. You don't have to like land perfect, which I hated in games like that. Yeah. You had to like land your rocket perfectly on the
That was
center
my
of the
favorite when I did
landing
it right.
pad. When you do it right, the one out of like 35 times you land it perfect.
I'm going
man,
65,000 miles.
You are lucky to complete a level in 35 attempts on some of those number 5, number 6 levels. I don't know how far you've got that, but like I have racked up the deaths, and it's a toughie. It is a toughie.
Make some easy levels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The level editor.
Just a big open corridor.
Yeah.
I'll have to see what I can send over before August 18th.
I'm also a sucker for any of these Playdate games that have little images of Playdates in them, and this has a little Playdate in it. Automatically gets an extra star. So
yeah, and
wow.
I feel like we should not overlook the fact that there is a level editor. Like you can make your own levels. I have not seen that in a Playdate game yet, and that's so cool.
It's
like the fact that they're highlighting that on this upcoming episode of Tiny Yellow Machine, I think is brilliant, because I didn't even look into that until I saw that contest. I'm like, oh wait, there's a what now? And started, messing around with it. That is super, super cool. So great job. I think we've said this for a Gamer 3 before, but this really does feel fleshed out enough where it could be a contender for a season game. So really nice job, PossiblyAxolotl. Icing on the cake with the level editor, and who knows, maybe you'll see my name in the running on August 18th. I don't know.
Get to work, Ryan. You got nothing else going late August.
Yeah,
as a teacher. Ryan, Sketch, Share, Solve, one of the first Playdate games, has a level editor.
Is that right?
You can share your levels. Yeah. It's a Picross game, a nonogram game.
Oh, that was an indie game, correct? That was not a season game. Correct. Okay, so we've not seen it in a season game yet.
We still have.
You're right. That's true. I got myself confused there. Thanks for keeping me straight.
That's because this game's so top tier. It feels like a season game.
Yeah, it's pretty gosh darn polished. I think the only thing I might ask for a revision or an addition on this game, I should say, is that player ability to control gravity. So there's a couple levels where I feel like I would so love to have that. So anyway, maybe it could be like an easy, medium, and hard designation where it just allows you to have a little more leeway when you're, blasting through these mazes. But then on the hard, you get to this like whatever gravity setting it's at right now. I think that would be a nice addition, because then you might be able to make your way through all the levels and then up that difficulty a little bit slower. Have that difficulty curve, sort of ramp out a little further.
Ryan, I'll send you an updated JSON file after this.
I can make my own easy, medium, and hard.
Make up and down on the D-pad, raise and lower the gravity.
Yeah.
Nick, get on that.
Okay.
Nick doesn't have anything going on either.
No.
So. Cool. All right. That's RocketBytes. We're like almost halfway through the show already. So let's hear about some other indie games of the week.
Would you all like to hear about a game called Goo Game?
No.
Certainly.
I mean, yes.
I hope so.
Yes.
That's what I prepared to talk about today. And by today, I mean last time that we recorded. So
I don't remember much about whatever you said last time. So
okay.
I was not present for that last time. So it's new to me.
So this is an adventure game. It is also made in pulp, if I recall correctly. You are a piece of goo, and you're trying to reunite with other pieces of goo so that you can ascend a hill and gain enlightenment, or whatever a piece of goo does once they ascend a hill. So you're plopped down in the middle of this farm, and you're immediately tasked with the chore of gathering up these cows. And there's a variety of tasks. There's a lot of cool music in this game, and it is very impressive and fun. There are little nods to other game series and RPGs specifically. So, I was enthralled immediately, but it is very fun. I still haven't finished it yet. I've collected 4 out of 5 of the pieces of goo needed to ascend the hill. And I'm not sure where the last one is. And I believe I've explored the entire map and haven't seen it. So I'm missing something. But it's a game that has really captured my attention and imagination. Poking into every nook and cranny in this game world is really fun in a way which is very difficult for a lot of modern games to replicate for me. So really enjoyed this and look forward to maybe finding that last piece of goo one day.
Very interesting. Your description has me excited. This happens so often when we do these indie
I know.
games. You find something that I've not found yet, and I'm like itching to go download this thing now. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention that RocketBytes is a name your price download, and I don't mean to hijack the Goo Game talk, but bringing it back to Goo Game, it is also a name your price download. Correct. On itch.
And Goo Game was made by James Gameboy, which is either an excellent name for a Playdate developer or a great pseudonym. But the art looks like it says God Game. So if you're looking just at the art, as I was, it appeared to say God Game, and I was very confused.
Does it look like that?
It did to me. Now, I might not have had my glasses on or had the light on.
Oh, my glasses!
It looks a little God Game, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, fair. Don. I appreciate that.
The one guy wearing glasses is the one that thinks it doesn't.
Hey, I know there's corrective lenses in there somewhere. You guys just like to hide them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, so that's the reason why I hadn't picked it. I was like, I don't remember what this is, and I just have passed by it in my my game list every week for a long time. But finally gave it a shot. Really glad that I did. It's like Cat World. I just really had a great time with it. So give it a shot if you're into point and click adventures, old school RPGs, that kind of thing. It's pulptastic. That's my new tagline. Yeah.
Oh Lord. Where's the Psy sticker?
It's an audio medium, Don. Let's hear it.
Anyway, my game of the week is a game called Skwish, made by Pawprints, who also make Cat Game. What's it called?
Cat World.
Cat World. I knew it wasn't Cat Quest.
Good job, Dad.
I didn't want to say Cat Quest. Anyway, this game is not called Cat World. It's called Skwish. Skwish. So the idea is you're a ball of goo, and you smash into other little blocks of goo and solve puzzles, and then you get into a hole and you go to the next puzzle. So there's 40 levels, and I think this started as a PC game and was ported over to the Playdate. It's similar somewhat to Box Boy or Box Girl, if you played those games on the DS or the Switch. Very good series. 3DS or Switch. Very good series made by Nintendo. Gave me sort of the similar vibe, the way you solve puzzles. So you're just jamming boxes of goo together, and the puzzles are very clever. They get very clever very quickly. There is a free demo, and so I got the demo thinking, I don't know if this looks like for me. There's so many puzzle games on the Switch or on the Playdate, but I love the demo so much, I immediately pre-ordered it. So right now it is $5, which I think is a steal, because there's a lot of fun to be had here. It'll take you a couple hours probably to get through these levels. And there's a really nice feature where you can rewind time. So if you make a bad move, you can just hit the button and move backwards. If you make too many moves, you can reset. You can hit the start button and reset your stage, which I do have to do. My only small knock is that some of the colors, say in quotes, there's like gray and dark gray are two of the colors. I wish there was a little bit more texture to differentiate the colors, because sometimes you have to change colors to move different blocks at different times, and sometimes it's easy to lose sight of what color needs to go where, especially when you're in a low light setting with the Playdate. not a huge deal. It's not like you're running against a timer or enemies or anything, but that's one small thing if you have a hard time with colors and textures on the Playdate. But really fun game, very satisfying. So check out Skwish.
Awesome. This looks really cool. Reminds me of like Game Boy type puzzle games like Boxel or Tomato Guy. What is that? Quirk. And but different. And I like how thoughtful they're making these little minor animations. Like this game could have been done with zero animation, just replacing cells, but you can see the little circle guy moving between squares. You can see him sort of like wiggling into becoming the squares. Yeah, it makes it feel very Jello like, very slimy. Just a lot of little animation details they've included. They didn't have to, that really make the game feel quite polished, even though it looks pretty simple. Yeah, this is another one that Don, I feel like I'm gonna have to go drop some dough here. This looks really great. Did you
drop some
end
dough?
Up completing it?
I'm on like level 38, I think. 38 or 39 out of 40.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm right at the end. It gets real tricky where you're doing dozens of moves, and then if you make a mistake, it's like, oh, I got to figure out where I went wrong.
Yeah. I love the fact that you said there's a rewind, because I remember in those Game Boy puzzle games that I mentioned, like if you blocked yourself out of a certain area, well, then you were done for and you just had to, restart. But it's cool that you can like pull back time a little bit to where you may have made a mistake and try to figure it out from a slightly different section instead of rewinding to the complete beginning. That's very cool.
There are some where once you stick two blocks next to each other, they're done. They're stuck for the rest of the level. And so you'll stick them and then click backwards, rewind one move, then move down a square, click it. So you're just constantly with the crank clicking back and forth, trying different moves very quickly. It's very reactive, so it's very satisfying. It's not reloading a level over and over, which is really
cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I can see how that would be satisfying as a player.
So worth a look. I thought we were done. Do we want to talk about what we've been doing? We've got about 15 minutes left. What do you guys think?
Well, you know what else we could do a little bit here is I feel like we've been a little cagey about what the heck happened 2 weeks ago. Because we're like, hey, we're recording, and then, oh, hey, never mind, here's Nick F. And it seemed like there were a few engaged listeners who were like, what's happening?
What happened?
Which I can totally understand. And I'm going to take the majority of the credit here for a very weird week. We were in the middle of recording, literally in the middle of an episode, and my wife came down and told me that our son had a very high fever, and I basically closed up the computer and said goodbye, and we took him to the ER. With all that said, he is just fine. He bounced back the day after, so everything's fine. We don't need cards or sympathy or anything. He's good, thankfully, but it was very scary at the time, and I think from what I hear, Don and Nick tried to soldier on after that, but it was just like, did Zencaster stop or something when I shut my computer?
Yeah, a couple of things. Earlier in the episode, when you were still here, I got really sick, and I left for like 10 minutes and came back. And so you guys were talking, but then you stopped, and so that was going to be one thing.
We tried to make we tried to make your editing job easy, but
which was fine, which is great. But then also, when you left, it ended our call, and so then we had to create a new call. And there was some issue with that, and so we had to create a third call. Which
it auto added you to the new call.
Oh, that's right.
Even though you weren't there.
Yeah, it did what now?
It auto added you.
It created a guest, and it wouldn't let us start without a guest. It was waiting for a third guest.
Oh my gosh, what a nightmare!
So we could not record without it. And so
and I didn't feel right impersonating you. So
right,
you could probably do it. Just add some boops.
we finally sorted that out. We went ahead and finished the episode, which was like 20 more minutes, but we were really stilted. We were
20 minutes of us going,
Yeah, we were not in a good rhythm or anything. And then it was a lot of editing, and it was my birthday, and I did not feel like doing all that night. And so we were just
there
like,
wasn't
whatever.
anybody singing really bad song renditions,
right?
Okay.
And so we just decided it's going to be a subpar product. Let's just not release it. And we had the rare benefit of you had just recorded a bonus episode, so we said, Ryan said, let's release it, so let's just release it.
Yeah. We weren't going to release that tips and techniques episode until tonight. This week, but Nick F and I recorded just a day or two earlier, and for some reason I had a bee in my bonnet that I was just going to edit that thing and get it ready, and boy, I'm glad I did, because it came in handy.
Yes.
Yeah. So glad your son's feeling better, and Don, definitely glad you're feeling better. And,
yeah. I didn't even realize what was happening. I just thought you stepped out for a minute. Didn't realize that was bad news for Don too. Sorry to hear that, Don.
I've learned that our vamping skills are not very good, Ryan. We need practice.
Well,
yeah, we tried, but it's not the same without one of the three of us. It just I'm glad we've got all three of us back in the house.
Yes.
Indeed.
So listeners, and mystery assault.
Happy birthday to you, Don.
And happy birthday, thank you, Nick, and happy birthday to Ryan. Ryan's birthday was a couple days later.
Happy birthday, everybody! Happy very late birthday. Happy very early birthday, Nick.
Happy half birthday, a couple days in between.
Happy birthday, everybody.
Yes. All right.
I did have an exciting announcement. I shipped out the sample games to beta testers for my new pinball game. And I don't want to get too into pinball on this, but I am very, very excited about that. That's a huge milestone. And great. I'm very, very excited. So
we were sort of, yes, congratulations. We were sort of talking about this right before the show started, but I feel like that's another thing that we haven't explained a whole lot about as ourselves. And I think Don had a great suggestion to maybe do that next episode, where we've got a little more time and we can talk about how Nick is designing this incredible game and has designed many incredible games, and what each of us do when we're not talking about this little yellow handheld with a crank. So I feel like we've indied the heck out of this show. I didn't even get to boopity boop our season games of the week because they're over.
You're out of practice.
Or any I think we were going to talk about what we've been up to in the past couple weeks, month on the Playdate, but I feel like we've kind of got a show in the can.
Yeah. It when we were doing one every week, it was Playdate all the time.
Yeah.
And I was really up on everything, and then taking just a week off. Well, we took a month off basically.
Mm-hmm.
And feel really out of practice with the Playdate now.
I do too.
Foreign to me.
I was really happy to see the whole RocketBytes level competition, level making competition thing coming up. It's sort of reignited a little spark in me, because that was my indie game of the week a couple of weeks ago anyway. I'm like, oh, that's kind of serendipitous, and taught me a new thing. So it was nice to sort of get back into it. But I agree, it was a little I don't know, we were going so hot and heavy there for a while that I feel like we all just needed a little breather.
I did play more B360, and I played more Ratcheteer, so I'm still playing stuff. I played all of Time from Earth, and I just left a review for that.
Oh, cool.
So I'm still playing, just not constantly like I was before.
Yeah. What are you up to on B360?
I don't know. Just I noticed that it got a lot easier for a while. I think there's 3 paddles going now. Maybe on the 4th or 5th planet. And it seemed a lot easier for several stages in a row. So I feel like I got over a hump.
Cool. Yeah, I remember that one level you sent me, and I remember that being a toughie. I haven't revisited it yet since Uber playing it that week, and I think I'm 3 levels away from completing it, 97, 98, something like that. I was playing some casual birder because I feel like I just scraped the surface of that one.
Yeah.
And It is a very fun, quirky game. I'm glad to be getting back into that a little bit. And I also showed, maybe this is an episode we can do in the future, but I showed a friend of mine, we vacationed together, the Playdate. And he'd heard of it, he'd never touched it before, and I was forced into the unexpected decision of, what do you show them first? Like, what game do you have a newcomer
I had
play?
the exact same issue here recently. Tell me what you did.
Oh man, we should do a show about this.
I know.
Okay. We're getting long in the show, but I'll just say very quickly that I had him start with old man brain, Crankin's Time Travel Adventure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What'd you do?
I had him start with Flipper Lifter, actually.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. Very cool.
I always do a joke that costs 99 cents.
That's a good one.
That is a good one, but also so hard.
It is very hard.
so is Crankins. Crankins is one I've done before too.
But you guys are forgetting those beginning levels. The beginning levels are very easy, and they bring you into the game in a very approachable way. Like the first game is literally just crank, there's your date, next one. Then you're on level 2. And then there's like an obstacle that is very easy, and you kind of slowly get to learn it. So that's a game. Let's talk about that on that episode. Goodbye. We'll save our thoughts until the real episode.
On what episode?
Which episode? Yeah.
The Crankin' episode?
No. I'm talking about, like, we should do an episode where we talk about what is a first game that you show someone on the Playdate.
Oh, that's a good idea for a future show, Ryan.
Excellent. We are totally nailing the end of this show. Speaking of shows, I feel like we're in Trolls 2 and we can't high five each other. That was a missed connection. Okay.
Nidhogg.
That's not hitting either.
Not Nidhogg. What was it?
Nilbog.
Nilbog, yes.
The most uncomfortable end of a show ever. Can we say goodbye already?
I got the Troll 2 reference, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. No one's listening to this anymore. I should look at how our listenership has done since we took a break, and I'm not going to do it on air. Thanks for listening.
The show. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Let's edit all this out. Thanks for listening. Check us out in 2 weeks. I don't know what we'll be talking about then, but we'll have more great indie picks, more great Playdate news, and more awkward transitions. Playdatepodcast.com, Hello PD Podcast on Twitter, and please join us in the Discord. Thank you to all of our new followers on Discord and on Instagram. We got a ton of Instagram follows this week. I don't know, somebody famous must have tagged us on accident.
I bought those bots. Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Appreciate that. That $5 ad worked. So anyway, thanks. We'll see you in the future. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.